Trying to hold off. Testing on it. I've been trying to hold off, man. It just continues to get worse. So, we know when you finally, it's like there's no such thing as getting better, and it's just, man.
Yeah.
Sports fan. Now, here are your hosts and easy Javon, Javon.
You're like, and welcome to the Easy Sports Talk Show. Hope you all are having a great start to your weekend. Appreciate you joining Easy and Jay here today.
Yeah.
It's beautiful 69-degree day right now, bro. But it's
as long as those lows are fine, I'm good. The lows I can deal with 80s and 90s, but the lows are 60s, 50s. But I know that's going to be changing.
The sad thing, man. In a few days, I see a 99 on here on Tuesday.
Again,
once we crack the seal,
it's the low.
The low that day is only 64. So,
so it's the thing that gets me is early with 110. And the low is 100. You say, what's the purpose?
Problem with that 64 is I don't get to enjoy that 64. By the time I get up, I get up early. By the time I get out there, it's already in the 70s and 80s. Hey, like I said, appreciate you joining us. Got a great show lined up for you today.
This is me right here too, right?
I got you. I got an ear for you. I got an ear for you now. I got man. You should. It's funny. I'll be driving sometimes.
Yeah.
And I got my iPod and all of your stuff will bump on. I'm like, Let's jump right into this. This segment right here is brought to you by
Coke Artisan Beverage Company, the official beverage company of the Easy Sports Talk Show. One of the first to launch nitrogen-infused coffee. They offer everything from specialty coffees to a botanical infusion line of caffeine and sugar-free brewed beverages. Call Coke Artisan Beverage Company at 623-434-0939 or visit ilovecolt.com for more information.
And if you want to get at us on the Easy Sports Talk hotline, you can give us a call, 602-260-1060. Aaron is behind his glass as always. If you want to tweet us at the Easy Sports Talk, at Ed Smith Speaks, and Javon Love at Javon Love, that's love with an L-U-V.
Yes, sir.
As I mentioned, great show lined up. We're coming to you from I guess you call this the Easy Sports Talk studio.
Yeah, man.
We're not out and down on the road.
Yeah, man.
A little break this week. Next week, we'll be back out with Coke Artisan Beverage Company. We'll be at Renegade Coffee. Oh, bro. I hate to break this to you. It's in Mesa. 1242 West University Drive over in Mesa. So for us West Siders, that's a little bit of a jaunt, but it'll be great to see Brother Hines and the crew next week.
It's about to go running afterwards, so we might have to take 2 different vehicles, but figure it out.
It's all good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I might be close enough to my Chinese food restaurant.
I do it every time. That's what it do. That's exactly
I got to map it out, see where we're at.
That's exactly what it is. Hey, as soon as we cross the 17, you're close enough.
I'm within 30 minutes. And I'll give him a shout out too. I'm going to Sam's Chinese Bistro. It's over in Gold Canyon. That's my favorite out here.
Yeah.
I go back to Jersey, it's a whole different story. I got but out here, I would call them my number one. So whenever I'm close up, when you go to order on a Chinese restaurant, I'll take number one. I'll take number 17, You don't even know this. That's my number one out here. So, close enough. I can get over.
I'm not mad at you. Yeah.
We've been out before, and I was, like you already.
And you started to contemplate. You're trying to talk yourself out of it. But when I say we over here and wherever we are,
last time I went when we were at we did the Oakwood Creative Care.
Yeah, I know you did.
I got zipped on that. First, I tried to talk myself out of it. It was kind of around the way.
Yep.
No, I guess I'll just go ahead. It was worth the drive too, bro. My little egg foo young and my food was worth the drive. I had to talk myself out of getting 2 orders because sometimes it's like overkill too much, but I got it in though. So great show lined up today. We got tons to talk about.
Yes, we do.
NBA playoffs in general.
Yep.
Special guest joining us today. And one of the most important and influential men in my life, Mr. Al Goldis. He was the gentleman responsible for drafting me back in 1987. I said it to you before the show. That was 35 years ago this summer that I was drafted by the White Sox.
Man.
So 35 years ago, I graduated from high school.
I was in a certain watering hole just the other day that you and I have been to.
Mhm.
That every time I go in, they ask me.
I know where you're talking
And
about.
so they said when I was walking in, Allie was talking and saying, "Yeah, you know, Ed, blah blah blah. He played baseball and he played football." I rap. What's going on with everybody? I'm
So
going to see.
checking me out. Oh, I feel like cheers when we want to go in there.
Man,
Yeah. No, it's all good.
yeah,
That's your spot. That's a good spot, though.
it is.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is.
We'll have to go there and grab us a cold frosted beverage or something.
Yeah, I go
So-
where you going.
Yeah. There's an indentation on one of the seats there. Like that. I know that butt anywhere.
Oh man, somebody's sitting on the bench right now for the Suns right now.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Well, like I said, Mr. Goldus is going to join us at 11 o'clock. One of the greatest baseball minds in the world. And we're going to talk to him. I had a chance to kind of catch up with him yesterday.
Yeah.
And go over some of the things we're going to discuss. And man, you talk about a dude is still one of the sharpest in the world in terms of baseball. And I'm interested to get his take on today's version of baseball versus when I played, way I called back in the day.
Probably in the way in which you evaluate talent,
Exactly.
or as it changes over time, because it's not just the way you evaluated talent 35 years ago. No, it's about is it in 5-year increments? I'm curious to hear how that changes and evolves.
So we're going to jump into that with Mr. Gold's 11 o'clock, and we're going to go for 30 minutes with Mr. Gold. He said he would give me that time. So, in the meanwhile, man, the Suns, last night, they pick up a win against the Pelicans, 114-111. Right now, the series sits at 2-1. On Sunday of last week, they picked up a 110-99 victory. That game, let me ask you a question. Now that the preseason is over with, we got regular / postseason basketball. Are you watching? Because I'm glued in.
I'm watching.
Okay, so you're getting the
games. Especially,
and,
I'm watching the Suns. I'll peek in and out of some of these games, but even when looking at some of the highlights, and I was talking to Stark Saxon yesterday. We recorded Disposable Arts, and one of the things that he mentioned, he said this is one of those things where the old dudes are kind of on their way out, right? The veterans for a while, but you got these young crop of cats that are coming up, and they are talented.
Yeah,
right? And it's not one of those things where there should be a lull. They're talented. When you look at Tatum, you look at Booker, you look at, and it's still in that old guard, Chris Paul, but you have Cam Johnson, you have it's the NBA is
all the team, yeah. And you know what I like, and I make fun of it all the time, Jay, but regular season basketball does not do anything for me because, and it's a long season to begin with, but the style of play on the regular season. I mean, basically, it's just line everybody up and just have 3-point shooting contests on the regular season because that's pretty much what it is. If you notice, during the playoffs, it gets physical. It gets half court. Yeah. Every possession now counts. Yeah. These dudes are out there banging now. I mean, like everybody's playing with attitude now. And I love that. In the regular season, it's like, hey, dude, and they're just throwing up sides. And
here's an interesting theory along those lines, and it makes me think of what's my man that we have on ASU that we met for the first time yesterday. When Max was talking about, you can't expect if you're a 162-game baseball season, you can't expect Trout to go 100% every single play, every single game. And I think that can be the same thing when we talk about basketball as well.
Oh, yeah.
It's texting that way. But here's something that's interesting is that so the same way that we're kind of maybe on the end of the wave of the first wave of AAU players.
Yeah.
Right? Well, we're going to play together one day, man. Oh, man, let's make it happen so we can play together. You have this other crop of players that seems to be coming in saying, nah, man, I'm going to try to kill you. I'm gonna try to get at your throat, and I don't need to necessarily make up. I think in this young crowd, maybe that's what we're seeing. I guess when those contracts come up, and they're able to start trying to play those
musical chairs. Yeah. I love this style of basketball. You bring up a great point. It does remind me because from the starting whistle to the end, in some of these games, you can tell it's chippy out. Everybody's fighting, scrapping. And I can understand, you're talking to someone who played almost 10 years of professional baseball. Yeah. It's hard, brother, to get up for 162. In basketball, you think about 82 games. Bro, I'm tired after. When I was younger, was they able to play still? Yeah. You go to the gym to get some running, to get some dudes. Yeah. And, by the time you're done, I'm like, man, that's going to hurt for a couple of days. Yes, you're talking about banging against dudes for 82, yes, sir. The travel and everything else. Yeah. I can understand the grind, this, like I said, the pace has now obviously picked up though.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about this time of the year
Indeed.
as far as basketball. So we didn't get into any specifics with the Suns, but we will when we get back, especially an injury.
Yeah.
Remember last week, I think it was last week, I made a comment. I almost feel like Nostradamus. And I said that Suns fans, we're always holding our breath, crossing our fingers, because we're always just a hamstring away or something. I said something like that, and lo and behold, we'll get into that when we get back. I appreciate you hanging out, Jay, on the Easy Sports Talk Show. Aaron behind the glass as always. Appreciate you. It's KDUS 1060 AM, KSLS 227. Got us on Facebook, Restream, LinkedIn, YouTube. You can find us all over the place.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you hanging out. We back out these messages, folks. Give it to them, Jay.
My bad.
Give it to him. This is the remix right here. The remix, remember?
Love it.
Thanks, Aaron.
Love it.
Hey, Aaron. Were you able to see? I put a note in there on the sheet for that the last portion as well.
Let me check. 5 years of business. Since 1946, the Milano family has provided every aspect related to the music industry to customers across the valley. From new instruments repaired to your current one, lessons, sheet music, rentals, and more, you'll find everything you need and are looking for at the amazing 50,000 square foot showroom and repair facility located at 38 West Main Street in historic downtown Mesa. You said in the very last segment 8?
No, it's on the email I sent you over.
Doors, Milano's family mission.
I gave you just a little something.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. He stepped away. Oh, that's okay. No problem. Cool. That's why I throw it out there. Just to make sure. Appreciate you, man.
MilanoMusic.com or call 480-827-1111. Again, congratulations to Milano Music, and here's to the next 75 years.
With over 11 years of serving the Valley, Majestic Services is who you should call for your pressure washing and window cleaning needs. From driveways to sidewalks, pool decks, awnings, patio blinds, even handyman services and more. Majestic Services has you covered. Call 602-614-9401 today for free, no obligation for commercial or residential. Call Majestic Services or visit them at majesticservices.net. Majestic Services. Let us do your dream. 602-614-9401.
Right now at Plus.
What you got going after the show, LeBron, or?
We have the marriage ministry kind of picnic thing. You should start coming to those. We're about to take over Yanika. So maybe I'll just start coming.
Yeah, we're gonna come to church. I'm gonna start planning it to come each week and bring Quentin. If the man wants to come too, I'm gonna start coming out. What?
Just playing. No, yeah, for sure. If you do, when you go to that one, let me know. Because I go to the one in Buckeye.
Okay.
It's just earlier.
Okay.
It starts at 8.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I go. But
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, no, I could actually come out there because then from there we can go and see my mom.
okay, for sure. It's Dorado though.
Dorado?
Yeah, so when I say like Buckeye, not Buckeye Road, but Buckeye like Dorado Way.
It's all good.
So just like
I'm paying for my gas, right?
there you go. God bless you. But yes, so there's a picnic. There's a picnic thing like we're in Litchfield Park.
Okay.
So we're gonna go over there and then go to dinner tonight.
Gotcha. Yeah, we're just mom's. Yeah, we're going up to mom's coming up tomorrow. He's gonna get us just whatever reason she wants Cheesecake Factory. Okay. My brother's taking her to Lolo's. Yeah, Lolo's, right?
Yeah.
He's taking her to Lolo's.
Has she been a little before?
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't been to this down here.
Oh, were you?
You're live.
And welcome back to the Easy Sports Talk Show. Hope you're enjoying the weekend so far. There you go. I'm trying to think right now if you this late in the evening and this is on. I have a little cigar, a little glass of brandy,
I need to come and hang out with you.
just a little vibe overhead, you know.
Oh, yeah.
This segment right here is brought to you by
Milano Music, family owned and operated for over 75 years, over 50,000 square foot showroom and repair facility, 18 instrument retail depots across the valley. Visit MilanoMusic.com. That's MILANO music.com or call them at 480-827-1111.
That's what we got to do. Next time we're down over there in the Chandler area, stop over and see Ron Harden at Duro's. Grab us a couple smokes.
Okay.
You know, maybe see if we can get brother Paul come on, hang out with us. It's been a while. We got to do that. So Suns up 2-1, as I mentioned. Game 1, they won 110-99. Turned around and lost game 2 on Tuesday, 125-114. Big news from that one was our man Devin Booker going down with the hammy on a chase down. Sometimes like you got to pick fights and doing stuff. Yeah, it's 2 points. Like, well, that really worked it. But in the end, he does tweak the hamstring. The initial thought was he was possibly going to be down for game 3 and 4. The report came out yesterday as a grade 1 hamstring strain. And it looks like a minimum of 2 to 3 weeks. So we don't know how long he's going to be out. We do know he's going to miss the rest of this series and then some. So we'll be continue to give us the update. You and I have talked about this so many times. I'm not sure how many hamstrings you've had. I've had some severe ones.
I don't think I've ever really. I might have tweaked it slightly, but not to the Achilles I have, but not my hamstring really.
I missed a whole month when I was playing baseball with the Cubs in '94.
Yeah.
Not tweaked it. I pulled it. I yanked this thing. Rehab. Good. Tried to come back early, too early, 2 weeks to change into it. Yeah. On the first game back, did it again. I was out for another 2.5, almost 3 weeks. So I lost basically 5 weeks of the season with this hamstring. So the thing about hamstrings, they're so tricky. Just when you think you got it healed, boom, slice.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't I believe earlier in the season he had a hamstring?
He did. It was out with the hamstring.
Okay.
But he did miss several games with that. And the problem with this is no longer regular season. This postseason, and you know, fortunately they won the game last night. They back up 2-1 and regained home court advantage. This young Pelican team is not going to go away. And I said it last week. The thing about these first round series, you want these over as fast as possible. Yeah. If you're the higher seed, you want to be moving on from it. You don't want these first round series on 6 and 7. These are the ones you want over in 4 or 5 if possible. Most doesn't obviously we're already on pace for 5 in this series, and we'll see. Last night, Pelicans made a fight out of it, 114-111-1, but it was still one of those games where every time you thought we had control, up 8, 9, 10, whatever. As you know, it's a 3 or 4 point game.
I wasn't too concerned that game was going to get away once Chris Paul did Chris Paul things.
Okay.
In that fourth quarter, if you look at the box score, you'll see he really took the game, and it was he's not a dude that's going to. We know for the most part he's not going to shoot a lot of threes. He's that mid-range game. He does a great job of manipulation, of being able to maneuver and get to his spots. And he is a real big reason Mikal Bridges performed well, but campaign.
Yeah.
He was struggling.
Yeah.
He was struggling. And the shots that he was taking, those were shots that he was missing them, but those were shots that he typically would make.
Crowder's been off this full series too.
Yeah.
No, it's almost like it's in his head right now because he took a couple of wide open threes, uncontested threes. He was so far off. You kind of get the feeling like, and you forget that basketball players are going to slumps too. Baseball, you get to the point where no matter what you do, something's off with your mechanics. You can't figure it out. It looks like he is in that mode right now. There were a couple times like, damn, what was he looking at? Was he, did he see another rim out there or something? He's just not in a good place right now.
It's interesting how that works when you talk about that. Everything can be the same, but if you just sometimes confidence is the overriding thing. If you don't have the confidence, it's the same shot, the same form, and you just slightly off. And I
do like what you say about Chris Paul. Chris Paul has proven over and over to me how valuable he is in terms of. It's not even about his stats a lot of times. It's about what he does to get other players involved. And he has this unique kind of sense where it's like, okay, it's time for me to get mine when others are struggling. And then he always knows who is the hot dude, who I need to get. And, like Aiden's on right now, I got to get him on the block. Or, Cam Johnson, he's on fire right now. We're going to run something to get him. He is so valuable when it comes to that.
Two things. One, there was this player that was on New Orleans Pelicans, kind of a tall, lanky guy, really great shooter. This kind of guy.
I used to play for. Yeah, he used to play.
Every time he made a shot, I got more and more upset. More and more upset. But having said that, it's kind of along those lines. Even the fact that sometimes you just have to accept that a good shooter is going to shoot and make shots and get to his spots no matter what, or you're going to. And if you don't accept that, you got to do some things to push him off the spot. I was listening to the broadcast, and Eddie Johnson was talking about this quite a bit. I mean, he wants to go to his right, so they're letting him go to his right, even though we see that he likes to go to his right to get to his spot. The fact that this team, which has been such a great defensive team all season long, is something to be a little bit out of whack because of with some of the defensive rotations, but they need to shore that up. Even if they get, and assume that they will. It's interesting to me. Talking heads on the radio haven't been as doomsday about things as they would be in the past, and that's a good thing. I don't think it should be.
I think for this series, this is an 8-1, and I do think you bring up great point in game 2 on Tuesday. The defense really was out of whack, and that was obviously you lost Booker during the game, so you didn't really have a chance to prep for it like they did last night. But they looked really off kilter to a certain degree, and the Pelicans, they took full advantage of that.
Now, they started shooting in game 2, and they kept shooting in game 3.
Yeah.
So is that a concern? Because is it just one of those things where they're not afraid of you because they saw what they were able to do in the second half of the first game to get that game to be a little bit closer than it should have been before the Suns ended up putting it away?
Yeah, I don't think the Pelicans are scared at all. Yeah. And then I apologize for not knowing his name. Their head coach is a former staff member of the Suns here. He knows a lot of our tendencies and different things. I think he put a great game plan together on Tuesday. Last night, I think we overcame some of the things they were trying to do. I'm not going to say that this series is over by a long shot. I think it's very important to win tomorrow night's game. They have game 4 tomorrow. Otherwise, you come back here and you're at a best of 3 to finish out this series. And once again, I'm saying you don't want these to go long. You want to try to get this one over as fast as possible.
I have a feeling that this might go 6, though.
I do too.
I have a feeling it might go 6.
Tomorrow seems like the basketball game for the Pelicans.
And as crazy as that, because time is time, so I guess that doesn't really matter. But what I was going to say was, we'll have to give us a little bit more time to get Devin Booker back. So if we go 6, then boom, you don't have to worry about trying to start another series so quickly. But they would face
Dallas and the next.
Yeah, they would face Dallas or
Dallas or Utah.
I'm not trying to say it's a cake.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
No, but I'm saying you might be facing Memphis or something like that. Oh, you might be in some trouble.
Well, here's the thing, though. With this hamstring, like I said, they're saying 2 to 3 weeks. That's just a window. Because when I'm telling you, man, and here's the thing. To try to come back, like this is a regular season, you just kind of ease them back in. Yeah. This is playoffs, man. Regardless of when he's healthy, he's coming back in. The treadmill's going to be on 10 or 11.
I'm not saying it's the same thing. It just whenever I think of hamstrings, it makes me think when I knew that the Lakers dynasty was over is when the Lakers were playing the Detroit Pistons. This is when Magic was still playing, and then I think we ultimately ended up getting swept. But Magic pulled his hamstring. He pulled his hamstring, and Byron Scott, ended up getting hurt as well. But the point is that those hamstrings, as you mentioned, you're so sensitive, you never know. And he knew that he was going to be out for a while because if you heard the accounts, or read the accounts of how he was interacting with his teammates, you saw when the camera panned to him that he knew, and he was sharing, I think, with Crowder, he knew that this isn't something where it's just going to be ice it up and I'm back.
Yeah. I've had ones before when you run a ground ball out and you make that last lunge for the base and you get it and you feel a slight tweak. Those are like, I guess nice one. Then those are the ones where you stress and And it's like the second you get this up, oh my God. It's one of those, I'm telling you, man, there's nothing like them. So we'll continue to monitor that. When we come back, we'll continue to talk. I got a question about the Suns and, like you said, what this means for us moving forward. And also we'll pan around the rest of the playoffs. A lot of crazy and interesting things going on with other teams as well as far as injury and, so, it's really this great time of year. So appreciate you hanging out. Easy to J on the Easy Sports Talk Show, KDUS 1060 AM. KSLX HD Channel 201.7. Got Aaron behind glass. You can catch us on Restream, YouTube, Facebook, you name it, we're out there. Take this break back out these messages, folks.
You can.
No mix this time. Straight
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Clear.
Thanks, man. brought to you by.
And Majestic Services. Contact Majestic Services to do all the dirty work around your home or business. Majestic Services will pressure wash your driveways, awnings, pool decks, sidewalks, receiving docks, and more. Call Majestic Services at 602-614-9401 or visit them at majesticservices.net for your free, no obligation quote today.
So, question for you, man. Obviously, we got this series 2-1 right now. Looks like I'm not gonna say we righted the ship yesterday, but we handled our business, right? Okay. So this is obviously a first round, 8-1. Wanted to ask the questions we've been asking this obviously with expectations through the roof through the regular season. You know, everybody finally starting to jump on the Suns bandwagon or the ship. And what because of this injury to Booker, does it now give maybe I don't know, do they get a hall pass if something were to really go wrong this postseason, or is it still championship or bust?
I think it's still championship or bust. I think what it comes down to is, well, I think what will end up happening is, why didn't we make a trade or a signing just in case, just to anticipate such and such will happen to our best player? But which is you would try to anticipate all of the things that could happen, but it still ends up being what it ends up being, is that you never hope that you lose your best player, because if you lose your best player, if you have Michael Jordan on the team and you lose Michael Jordan, it's still championship or bust. We just know it's bust. You know, but they should be able to weather this to get through at least to get through the first game or two of the next series. If they get through this, we anticipate that they will or expect that they will. But then every time, almost like Anthony Davis. Anytime he goes to the ground, you waiting.
Oh yeah.
And
is he getting up or was he holding?
So if the first couple times that book goes full speed, the crowd's going to be looking on with bated breath.
So with this series, obviously 2-1, what are tomorrow's game 4? By the time we come back next week on Saturday, I think this series should be over.
Yes.
Even if it goes 7. So what's your prediction on this series? How does this one go for the Suns?
I think it's going to go 6, and this team is just is going to play them hard. I don't think they'll go away.
Do they win or lose tomorrow?
I think they win. I think the Suns win tomorrow.
So even with that, they would go 3-1. You still think it will go 6?
I think they might end up. They'll come back. So that'd be 4 games, and they come back here. They may lose that one. Maybe thinking that it's that the role players thinking that they can maybe exhale just a slight bit because the crowd will get us over the top. But I think that they might end up losing that one and then close it out on the road.
I think the other way. I think they lose tomorrow. It goes to 2-2. We come home, win, and we go back there and dust this one off, and we win in 6 in this one. Okay. So that's my guess, and we'll see how it all shakes out, and then we'll obviously continue to monitor what's going on with Devin Booker and that hamstring. So
DeAndre Ayton played really well last night.
DeAndre Ayton's been putting up, man.
Really well.
And I caught this last night. Even the announcers, they were talking about an extension. I mean, he's getting so quiet about it. Like some others have.
Yeah. And I mentioned this to you offline a week or two ago. For some reason, now I've reached my tipping point when it comes to talking about people's money. In terms of the way people say, you should just sign this or blah, blah, blah. He didn't even get an extension. And he's not going to be pocket watching other people, which is crazy. But it's true.
That's the way sports are, though, because everything's published. I mean, you can't escape it. You know? It's amazing. I mean, but like I said,
yes, but Aiden
he's been quiet. Now, he's restricted, though, right? So after the season, we can match.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's a good thing.
Yes.
Because if he was unrestricted and you did him like this,
he would sign and trade.
Huh?
You guys get Westbrook.
Oh my God. Don't even start there. So around the NBA and the other playoff series, some really good ones going on right now and some really not good ones as well.
Yeah.
Heat and Hawks, Heat are up 2-1. They play again tomorrow night. That one is coming on.
No, Hawks won.
Hawks didn't win last night.
Hawks won last night, dog.
Get out of here. Wait a minute. I missed that.
You can fact check me if you want, Aaron. I'm saying Hawks won last night.
Give me just a second here. I thought, let me see, because I have it up here. I can't be wrong on that. Can I be Atlanta? No, Miami leads the series 2-1. I don't know what you look at. What you looking like that?
Whatever.
You said Atlanta Hawks won yesterday?
Yeah, Atlanta Hawks won.
Okay, but it's still 2-1 Miami. 2-1 Miami, right? Okay. All right, so I got.
The Atlanta Hawks won 111-110 yesterday.
Okay, so I'm wrong on my order of wins, but Miami is up 2-1. I'm still right. You were half right. Miami leads that series 2-1. That's what I was getting at.
Yeah,
I was at my own. Bucks and Bulls. Bucks, they had Middleton go down.
Yeah.
He's out for a long with a knee. MCL strain.
I thought it was going to be a little.
Yeah, no, they won the Bulls 2-1. But they actually did get a scare because Milwaukee took home court the other night. Now they just returned favor by winning in Chicago, so they're up 2-1.
Yeah.
My son is very happy about that.
Yeah.
Sixers can wrap up the Raptors tonight. They're up 3-0. No, Matt next door should be
They should be able to do
They should
that.
wrap that one up.
I fell into the trap. I thought that defensively that the Raptors would be able to not win the series, but at least
Give it a little
better
bit.
showing.
Yeah.
I was wrong.
Yeah, that's not the first time you've been wrong. Though.
Yeah. I was right about one thing. My wife, she loved me. She loved me.
Oh, then we got let me see, Nets, Celtics. Now this is interesting. The Nets had a chance to win game one, lost it on the last second layup. Then they were up 15 or whatever it was the other night. Can't hold them to that one. And Durant looked horrible. He's looked really, really bad. They're down 0-2 in the hole. That game's going to be pretty good tonight back in Brooklyn. But what do you make of that? I mean, is it the defense? They've been banging that boy. They've been banging.
Also, Celtics, I think, all season long, or for the most part, especially the latter half of the last quarter of the season, maybe a little bit longer. Boston has been really coming on and doing their thing, and you can't. This is another example of you just can't say roll the balls out. We got two supremely talented players. We'll win. You can't do that.
No.
And that's what the Nets have been doing. You just cannot expect it. Even though people love to because of the it's clickbait to say that they're to make them the favorites to win a championship, and that's it does not look good.
No, it doesn't. But here's the thing: they could go back to Brooklyn over these next couple of games, win them impressively. Then everybody's. Then I watch ESPN all the time, man. It's like the world is falling. The sky is, man. They go back home and win these two games, and then the conversation is going to be, let's think if Tatum was a second late getting that off, they would be up 3-1 that because it all turns on.
A lot of luck is involved with winning the championship. I don't care if you go undefeated in some sport or if you're breaking records. There's a lot of luck that's involved there. But here's the thing. What do you think about this? So you have Durant and you have Kyrie, right? Is Durant, while supremely talented, was he really the leader when he was on the true teams he's ever been on?
Nope.
What about Kyrie?
Nope.
So you got two dudes that think that they alphas but behave like number twos.
And then Brother Paul just threw up one of the best points. Nash can't coach. Nash is not. I mean, I think we forget he's never had any coaching experience before. He gets this job, and there are a lot of people who pulling it because there's a whole lot of people waiting in line, and he gets a job without even ever coaching before. And this is the time because with these types of superstars, you just let them go. You just come out there. No. You have to start combating what the Celtics are doing. Yeah, he's sitting over there having a cup, like a cup of something while they're out there. Now, this is when your coach starts designing the plays or coming up with who's bringing the ball up court, coming off screens, double screens if you have to. This is what the coaches
or if you're not that type of coach, you need to have coaches on your staff that can do that. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure that you've talked about from a football sense. You've had coaches that were more the CEO.
Oh yeah.
And then they let the other guys do. They put them in place to be successful. But you have others that are, I'm the CEO and I know about this offense over here, so I'm about to go ahead and.
He's got a couple good dudes on his bench, but like I said, when there's only one dude that can stand up in that little box that they have for the coaches while the game is going on. There's only one dude that can be standing up there. You see him running back and forth. What should we do now? Okay, 1 second. Run back to the box.
Steve Nash know about the thing is they play so much ISO So if being able to get Steve used to do that pick and roll.
That's what I'm saying. I don't see any of that coming from them. So when we come back, we're going to jump into the other conference, some other good series going on. A lot of, this is, like I said, it wasn't, Paul said, Nash best assistant is the Celtics head coach. So we're going to see that. I'm interested to see if they can jump back into that series. But like I said, a lot of things being exposed this time around. And then this whole thing with Ben Simmons, like he's supposed to be the savior.
He's supposed to
we'll
come
talk
back
about that
game
when we
4.
come back. He's supposed to be coming back game 4. We're going to take this break. Easy and Jay, Easy Sports Talk, KDUS 1060 AM, KSLX HC Channel 200.7. Be back after these messages, folks. Hope you have a great weekend so far.
Are you okay?
Thanks, Jim.
You want to talk about the Cardinals?
Who's that?
Cardinals, since we're gonna have that gentleman on.
We could, you want to do that at 11:30? Just stay on basketball and then do that at 11:30?
I think probably we can go back to basketball.
Okay.
And then just at least get this Cardinals in, and then we can go back to it.
Okay.
Call 602-614-9400. No obligation for commercial.
A message for you, Rudy. Stop your messing around. You don't know nothing about that, y'all.
I like that though. I'm gonna have to get that one from you, put it in my list.
Yeah, man.
Hey, this segment right here is brought to you by
Casual Sports Radio Network, KSRNAZ.com is your destination for the latest updates and in-depth coverage of your Arizona sports teams, including all things Arizona Cardinals for the Bird Gang fan base. Visit KSRNAZ.com for feature articles, great podcasts such as the repurposing of the Easy Sports Talk Show and the Believe in the Arizona Cardinals podcast, and music programming such as Microphone Masters, Disposable Arts, and more.
So we're going to do a little flip-flop of the order of topics. We were going to talk a little bit about whatever the other side of the conference. But then, this is our show. We do one. We're talk a little base basketball later on the show. We have Mr. Aleworks on this 11. Has some interesting stuff happening with the Cardinals, and definitely want to touch on that before being a Cardinals-centric show, as we say on the Believe the Arizona Cardinals podcast, and make sure we give them some love too. Where can they find the Believe in the Arizona Cardinals podcast?
Go to easysportstalk.com and you will see it right there. You'll see it. It'll say Believe in the Arizona Cardinals up at the top of the link. And you can also go to believe.com and search Arizona Cardinals, or just search Believe in the Arizona Cardinals wherever you find your podcast. BLEAV in the Arizona Cardinals.
So something really interesting happened last week. We re-signed AJ Green.
Yes.
To shore up our wide receiver core and make sure we continue on the trend of re-signing all of our free agents, but not really going out to sign any other one. But we did sign AJ Green to a one-year deal. And in his conversation, being interviewed, he made some pretty interesting comments. He talked about the chemistry with Kyler Murray wasn't great in 2021. And he said they have a lot of room for growth. And the biggest thing for me, and I'll get your take on this as well, he went into depth about how he didn't communicate well with Kyler, and he has to do a better job of that. And giving us some example, we ran a route, maybe that route wasn't as precise as he thought it might be. Maybe going to his quarterback would have been, something to talk about. They would have conversations. But I've done that before. You come off the field after a route or something like that, and you and your quarterback sit down and you talk about, hey, next time I need you to get a little more depth on that, or I need you to get out of that break a little quicker. And that's something we can work on during the weekend practice.
That's what the quarterback does. Right?
Let me see. So let me see. Let's read a little bit. For me, it's communicating with him what I see and what he wants me to do and how he wants me to run this particular route. I think last year there was a lacking on my part, right? I didn't really communicate with him about stuff like that because I didn't want to put a lot of stuff on his plate. So where do we go on this one? So this is your wide receiver.
What did it say? Like struggling the guys, let's unpack this. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
This is your wide receiver talking about how putting it on his show, saying, I got to do a better job. I need to be more communicative with him. I did. And I'm looking at myself, thinking to myself, okay, that seems like a really one-sided conversation. AJ Green is taking a bullet. He's basically saying, it was my fault. You watch him get the basketball game, do intentional foul, first he does right? Just let everybody know I did it. It was mine, That's almost like what AJ Green is doing. I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, where's our young quarterback making these types of statements?
He's in Texas, and he said a tweet that says he's down with the Arizona Cardinals. He wants to stay. He said he wants to stay.
That's the communication we're getting from him. We can dive into all the stuff going on in terms of, once again, he's coming out and the agent is basically saying, let's get a new contract. He's not playing. We're already seeing he's not coming for the offseason program, right? A lot of people around the state reported for the voluntary workout.
So what? Okay, so I know it. You can say the coaches of the organization can say it's voluntary. If you want to, if you like, not show the shade at you. But if they gave you the chance to go to the voluntary, you got let's say you're the bottom third or the bottom half of the roster. You go into the voluntary.
They're called voluntary mandatory. Right. For somebody like me, I want them to see my face. If I could have went home and had dinner with my coach, I know that coach.
Water.
Yeah. We'll dinner. I reach wine if you want. I wanted my face to be seen as much as possible. That's it. There are other superstars. It's not mandatory. These dudes that are making $20 million a year, they have the right to say no. Yeah. Quarterbacks, especially, your Aaron Rodgers, certain guys, but it's for the team itself. It's a bonding period.
That's what I was going to ask. Does it have that value? Does it have value?
Right. It has so much value. The year that I went to the Super Bowl with the Falcons, it didn't start in September of that year. It started in March and April of that year after our 7-9 finish the year before. Everybody coming in, committing to working out, committing to getting to know each other, committing to whatever mini camps we had, getting more in tune with the playbook and different things, and finding out working with your quarterback, we had Chris Chandler, a veteran. I'm learning from him. It's not the other way around. Whereas in this situation, it could be AJ teaching Kyle or something. Even though Kyle knows everything in the world, we all know that. He doesn't know anything.
You threw it a little early. No, you need to be there a little faster.
But what I'm saying, this moral of this whole story, you got a veteran wide receiver who's been around the league, played with some good to semi-great. Over in Cincinnati, he was with
He played with
Carson. So he wanting to communicate more. You can't communicate with him if he doesn't want to communicate with you, or it doesn't come in to communicate with you.
You walk in the locker room. Hey, Kyle, I want to talk to you. You got headphones on. Hey, man, I just want to. What? What?
Let me ask you a question. How often do you think Patrick Mahomes sits down in front of his locker with the tight end, Kelsey, sits at his locker before he left with the Tyreek Hill? These dudes go out once together, they talk together, they go. You see them on the sideline after one play or a series coming over, getting the board out, with the little tablets, and they're talking. Kyler goes and sits on the sidelines. He don't let anything do to anybody. And that's just a microcosm of, in my opinion, who he is. And you got AJ Green, like I said, taking a bullet for this man. I need to do better. How about our quarterback needs to do better? We haven't heard anything from them. But that's leadership, right? After they pay him, right? If you fold a piece of paper sometimes, and you see the first sentence or something, but then it's like, oh, wait a minute, you open it up, and you get the rest of it. Right. Yeah, I really want to get Carlos as long as they pay me. As long as they give me all my loot. Otherwise, I'm not coming, and I don't want to be here.
Man. Yeah, and I think Calvin was asked in the press conference. Yeah. They have as you mentioned, the voluntary workouts going on, but he mentioned that he's not planning on trading him. And then it's
zero chance.
Zero chance. Then it makes you think, will they? And if they did, I mean, you can't do that, right? I mean, you can't. You could trade him.
There's no scenario.
But
there's no scenario. Well, there's no scenario that I see the Cardinals would ever even entertain that. They worked too hard to get into this spot in the first place. With drafting Rosen and going through all that, and then you bring Murray in, and we're 3 years into I don't know if you want to call it experiment, but the project. Right. Trying to rebuild this organization, get it on track. The one person who seems like he doesn't want to be involved with the process, if you want to call it that, is our quarterback. Yeah. He's the one person that could throw a monkey wrench into all of this.
I don't know if you came across some of the comments that came from from Patrick Peterson's podcast.
Yeah.
And Edmonds on there. So Edmonds, that Patrick Peterson is kind of
bitter.
So whenever he says something about the Cardinals, you just kind of say, I don't know, man.
You have to figure where the source is coming from.
Edmonds just recently left. So is he somebody that when he talks about culture, when he talks about some of those things that he mentioned, I mean, that starts from the top, right? So if those people that are at the top just got extensions, then what does that mean? It means that this tumult, this uneasiness, this is going to probably continue for a while.
It's going to continue until they do a couple of things. One is they go ahead and bow down and get man his money and kiss the ring and all that kind of stuff. But then even then, what happens is there's going to be some animosity from guys in the locker room and also from the front office. Why did he put us through this? Why did he? All the other teams, they handle their business behind the scenes. He's out there scrubbing social media, the manifesto from his agent, and all this stuff. It does leave a bitter taste in your mouth, even when everybody's trying to hug and kumbaya and everything. I'm sure they're going to have some conversations with him in the future. Can we please try to keep this between ourselves, or
Yeah, it's between us. You sure? Yeah, it's between us.
Until it happens again.
Just met with my team. They tripping. Send.
But like I'm saying, just continue on. And the other thing they can do is make him wait like everybody else had to wait. And then you sit down with him and have that talk. Yeah. There's going to have to be somebody who eventually has a talk with Kyle. I don't think Cliff Kingsbury is man enough to do it myself. Dang, I'm just being straight up. I'm telling you, I've been in offices before when a coach, when you walk in the door, and it's like, don't even say a word, just sit down and set up because I'm going to talk. We need to talk about something. Okay. And Cliff is one of those dudes, he wants to leave the door open so just in case, he might have to get up and go grab a drink of water because he feels so uncomfortable. He doesn't seem like the dude who closes the door.
You got a safe word?
Or have somebody sit in the room with him. Hey, Steve, you got some time, man? Hey, can we go talk to Kyler together?
I had to walk in an office like that before. And you walk in and you still close it. Oh, hi. What are you doing here? Oh, no, I just want to have this conversation.
1 hour down, we're gonna take this break. Got Mr. Algold is joining after this great first hour. Hope you're having a good start to your weekend. Easy and Jay, Easy Sports Talk. We'll be back after these messages, folks, with the great Mr. Algold.
I want to hear about skinny head. Are you kidding?
Clear.
Thanks, Aaron. And then, like I said, what I'm going to do is right around the 15-minute mark, as like special to me. So I'm gonna have this gentleman. I'm gonna give him a quick intro. This is not going to do him justice. This intro right here, but Mr. Al Goldis became a scout for the Baltimore Orioles in 1978. He then went to the Los Angeles the Angels from 80 to 86 as the East Coast supervisor of scouting, and then from 86 to 90, he was the director of scouting and player development at the Chicago White Sox. And he was responsible for drafting people like Frank Thomas, the Big Earth, Robin Ventura, Jack McDowell, Alex Fernandez. He told his other little dude in there, 7th round pick in 1987. He drafted one Ed Smith. Then Mr. Goldis went to the Brewers from 91 to 92. He's a VP of scouting and player development. You know what he did? He made a trade during the 91 season for this dude named Ed Smith again. Then he went and finished his scouting career with the Cubs, Reds, and the Mets. And in between all that, in 1994, signed this dude Ed Smith again as a free agent to the Cubs in 1994, as I mentioned. He's the co-author of the book with Mr. Rick Wolf, How to Make Pro Baseball Scouts Notice You, and Insider's Guide to Big League Scouting, published in 2009. And he's also a member of the Professional Baseball Scouts Hall of Fame. He was inducted in 2009. Get this, Jay. They didn't start the dog until 2008. So he was their second class. And Mr. Goldis, that does not do you justice in terms of what you've done professionally, but I want to tell you what you've done for so many young men personally, doubles and quadruples that. So first off, thank you for joining me on the show. And like I said, you're talking about an honor. You are one of those people, Mr. Goldis, that I hold in the highest of regard. So thank you first for jumping on me and my partner today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate your calling and I people at yourself, like Tom is, and having Javon White get the people or the things that really are in my mind, and that's the most important thing. This is a game of humans and people. And that's what it is. And meeting you and your brother, your father, this is going to be real.
Absolutely, Mr. Wilson. That's the one thing that we you were so personable, even all the way back to some of us young knuckleheads. We got drafted. We're all big fish in a little pond, and we come to start playing our professional careers at different stages. I was drafted out of high school. We had guys who played 4 years in college, guys who had even, maybe a little junior college and stuff like that. We were all kind of thrown together, and you were my first taste of what it meant to be a professional athlete. It's funny, Mr. Goldis. I was sitting there talking to Jay before the show, and I thought, 35 years ago, this June that you drafted, where does the time go for one? But there's a few topics and things I wanted to talk to you about. One of them is, as a scout, I consider you one of the best ever, and like I said, the fact you're in the Hall of Fame, that says enough right there. But give us an idea, as a scout, back in the day, what you were looking for in terms of when you're drafting or you're having your scouts out looking for players. What were you looking for in a ball player to even be considered a prospect for you?
Well, that is what I guess it comes down to what player has tools. Everyone talks about the tools of the player. Fortunately, we had this job with the White Sox, and this was from the White Sox, and when I was the director of scouting, and the actual tools, people look at the physical abilities of a player. Your power, running, those are critical tools, and that's what many people look at. And it's important. You've got to have tools to a high degree to play in the NFL or the NBA. There's no question for that. So, but the tools get you started. The physical tools get you started. The physical tools get you the opportunity. And the one element that you're always looking for is it's the projection of what can this kid do for high school? To go against Langford and Nolan Ron, or Grom, what can he do? I mean, what else? As you move off of high school out, college to minor baseball, to football, and then to the field, what element that you have to have in a process versus a process is that as the team keeps up, as the ball gets faster, as the ball gets hit hard, as the great individuals are soccer, you may have the ability physically to adapt to the speed of the game and clean out the ball. But that's what a lot of people look for. I think you're going to be scared. But when we see things, I call it, and I call it, the athletic privilege. And we always want to take a look at the physical. There's no question. I think it's going to scratch out the coaches. But if you get separate, the guys that get the but stay there and then move up better and better as the approach. As an example, is that the two other elements that impose the element of the ability is what kind of learning do you have? What do you learn in the instruction? Does you learn on the home what kind of picture is trying to get me out, what you've done my first of that, my second of that? You have to have the first memory, you have to have recall, you remember of how these guys are getting it out, how are the managers playing the defense, are they fishing? So you have to have the that's the number two part of the ability. The third part is what kind of makeup. Because baseball is a game, and it's a very unusual thing that if you fail 70% of the time, you have a chance to be a very good initially better. And like I do, I'll call about baseball, but that's we'll talk about that. When how we adapt on failure, when you get a lot of adversity, baseball is very frustrating sport. When you get it all, you keep it fine, you get the minor. And a lot of it is less than right now. 50% of all first round picks fail, and 48% of them. So the question is, how do you handle failure? People are more confident. Are you self-confident, self-esteem to overcome that? So you gotta have good self-esteem, and that's one element that all the great players that I have observed in the cities, the Grand Thomases, the stories, the Jets, Jack McDowell, Hernandez, Terry White, Terry Wood, they all had great self-esteem, and they all believed in themselves, and that's what gets them through the downside. So basically, the physical, what kind of brain and mental capacity does the player have, and what kind of makeup does he believe in himself and can handle his person. Very, very important. That's why we get coaches that are coming down on players all the time and growing the confidence of the player. And confidence is a very difficult thing. Once you get your confidence, sometimes you get back. Sometimes you have to get back. So I always try to talk about the player that you realistic with. This is what you do well. This is what you're not doing well. What you need to do is individually. And we have the things that we have as a White Sox, and they use it attach for us. We have excellent coaches.
Some of the best.
We have great infield, the Ron Clark, and great inside. And what they did, they were able to keep the predictable, not only style to play the business, but the predictable non-style. So those are things that we look for besides the physical things. But the mental and makeup, they play bigger. Once they're on, those are things that move more the ladder.
So let me ask you this, Mr. Davis. So when it comes to, obviously it's easy to spot the physical talents, and maybe you can have, as you mentioned, some training, being able to learn or teach how to situational things. How can you evaluate somebody's ability to adapt from failure? How difficult is that from a scouting perspective to not become so enamored with prospects' physical tools that the ability to adapt from failure falls by the wayside.
Well, that's a good point. The question is, I think it's there was a scholar, Glenn, who had one of the best physical bodies I've ever seen. He was the number one in Seattle country. He was number one. And he could hit a ball power-wise. He was plus. He could do it all at 5'4". And the one element is that as a director of scouting, the one element that we, as an example, just coming up, I never watched him play during event baseball. And his high school team in South Carolina only had big baseball until they got to the playoffs. So I used to watch him for no time down, no time. Makes me older, very excited. So I watched that team when we do it. To watch this kid play and not do it, he was making pitches like well, he had a visual problem. But that's nice, like my job, that was that problem at night. So one of the things that today's scout versus challenging the scout is that sometimes I call it many times fast food scout. You go on and they will run to the second game and third game and watch the other players, which is great. But what you have to do is that you got to focus on that process or that player. Because you don't know if it's a process or not a process yet. But if you're going to be well, or it shows how if you do it, if you're going to be quality. But then you got to trouble in certain physical ways. That will be able to see what does he do when he gets failure. Does he make any type out of it? Do you aware of it? Or does he come up next game or next back game and just completely do the same way? The element that separates the great ones from the ordinary to the below average is the ability in professional sports to adapt in one way. You got to adapt to period of difficulty. And the guys with the good brain, the guys with the good foot, the action, and the guys with good makeup, they adapt faster. And that's what you know what. Sometimes you, as a pitcher, I'll give you a perfect example over there in Brooklyn. And you'll go out and pitch, and he's coming twice a week. And he was pretty cool out there. Now watching this pitch, and all of a sudden, there was a man on second and third. Well, this guy started to get packed the hitter. With two men on second and third. He get packed him. He went after him. He was back off. It was John Franco, one of the best young pitchers Scotty County. He wasn't big, but he had that makeup. He had that killer instinct. But you only get that when you watch the guys perform in different situations. But if you're going there and just watching one back to your back, and then you're off to the next game, or if you're watching only one game, and sometimes guys will start away from the pitcher. Oh, he had a bad day. Everyone has a bad day. But doesn't have the tools. Doesn't have tools to go and adapt. That's what we're looking for. And that's why you see a lot of high school kids, they go into college, they get better and better. And you know what? They go home. Some high school kids go to minor league, they fail the first couple of years, and then they get back. You go to the business. Javon White is a perfect example with the Angels. Javon White is 180 first year, or 120, then 180 is 220. But he kept those guys because he had great, and he still ability to got back to the ball. And all he needed was his back. He was a New York high school player at 11 games. And, you know, he didn't play that much. So those are the facts that you got to take in. This is good enough to that. This is, you get 500 bats to minor league the first and second year. Does he have the experience? And usually the guys that those two qualities that I was talking about, that's what you got to watch. You may not see it at the time. But that's why you got to keep, if you like it, and you keep it, you got to keep on coming back. Nowadays, the pressure is to the same guys, which is good. If you see some tools in the guy, Eddie Smith, I'll give you a report on Eddie Smith. Eddie Smith, I really project him to be a player. He has strength, he has tremendous hands. And you know how good that is. Eddie hasn't been in any third baseman. And he was coming along good. And then we happened to have a particular situation that someone tried to change the hitting style. And it wasn't me, I tell you that.
Absolutely not.
And it was very difficult. But he had the capability of being a star in the game. Because he had an arm, he had intelligence, he had it all. But once that element of the thinking of the offensive body control, because he was forced to do it. Okay, I'm not going to go into that any further, but you still about it, you know. So again, it comes down to coaching and and good staff. That's why when you have good staff and you have good coaching, then you got a chance to really make the ordinary player better.
And you just made my day by saying that, Mr. Gold. We're gonna continue on here. First, this segment right here is brought to you by
True Narrative Media. True Narrative Media understands in today's world, the visual aspect of media is extremely effective in growing your business and expanding your brand awareness. True Narrative Media specializes in telling your unique story, providing a wide range of video services for companies and businesses of all sizes. For more information, call 623-335-0735 or visit TrueNarrativeMedia.com.
And I want to continue on, Mr. Goldson. Aaron, if you can do me a favor, you can even extend this one past the 11:30 spot, because I love what we're doing here. I appreciate that. Mr. Goldson, got you. So, question for you here. We're watching today's brand of baseball, and I come from a time where, like you just mentioned, the 5 tools. Every tool was being used at all times during development, during games, young players, trying to get as much as you could out of them. Today's style of baseball has kind of come to a halt. Everything is kind of centered around the strikeout, the walk, and the home run. There's not a lot of stealing, not a lot of bunting, moving hitters, that type of thing, and it's kind of spoiled baseball for me. It's hard for me to watch. What are your thoughts on the style of baseball today compared to when we played years ago?
Okay, I'm going to talk about that, but I just want to add something to my other previous comments before. The one element I think is important for the fans out there in the parents, and sometimes, and we had this as an example, that kids showed some tools. Then what we couldn't understand why he was missing 50-50, and what we did, we had a full-time visual analysis for our players. We had an ophthalmologist and an optometrist, and gave all our guys visual examination. And we found out that certain guys had weak muscles in their eyes, and they couldn't track the ball properly, or their depth perception was not picking up the ball, even though they had the physical tools. They had physical tools as well, but the tracking mechanism and picking up a ball faster, closer to the pitcher. So it's important, and I express for parents, coaches out there, and it's a thing that very few people do. Do not hesitate to take your players or your children and your sons and daughters as well to have a total visual, and not just an eye exam, but a visual analysis, because that can affect the academics as well as the athletic. Because sometimes kids have actual reading problems. It's not because they're not smart. It's because it could be a visual problem. So I'm emphasizing a visual analysis to the kids. Because then when you know a guy has good vision and can track a ball, then at least you know that's part of his physical tool. We always talk about power and one speed. You can have Mickey Mantle tools, but if you have very much below average visual skills, you're not going to use the tools. You can't use them, but you can't see.
Exactly.
True indeed. True.
That's exactly.
It's like having all your tools and everything, and then I put a blindfold on you and tell you to keep outside.
Yep.
Right? After the stream, of course. So, but anyway, to answer your question, if the game was Moneyball is influential thing today. A lot of the Moneyball concept, if you read Moneyball and watch the movie, a lot of it is not very, it's not accurate. It's not very accurate. And very seldom there's more about the three in the book, in the movie, they don't talk about the three guys that won 20 games. And a lot of times I checked it out, and a lot of the on-base percentages, slugging percentages of those teams that start following Moneyball, and even Oakland at that time, their on-base percentages is not what the projections to be. But I did a little study, guys, my own from 2000 to 2019. There has been an increase at the major league level. Now, this is every team I went through for 19 years. There has been an increase in strikeouts of over 14,000 more strikeouts at the major league level. So what does that tell you? It tells you the ball play.
Right.
Remember, all sports come down to two things. They all down to basketball, football, baseball, life. Comes down to two things. It comes down to creating angles. Okay? Creating angles, I'm going to put your defense, and creating space. So when you're trying to hit the ball, or you're trying to hit the ball over the outfield, and you can stand with the loft angle thing, what you've done actually is cut down on using the entire space of the field. When guys can go the other way and utilize that, right now, I don't really good last all the time, but maybe you go away with the 60 and make it a no, I think you have to do this. What I think is keep the guys out of those and be able to pitch to go the other way.
Thank you. Yes.
You feel
2 minutes.
this is what it comes down to, guys. It comes down to you win games two ways, a couple of ways. One, you score more runs than the other team. So that's option. Defensively, you keep the other team off the bases. And baseball is very simple. Baseball is get on, get as many people to second base as possible, and offensively, and keep them off the second base as much as possible. Because if you get a score a guy from second, you have to see that.
Yes.
If you get a guy who can't run and you come first, you got to drive the ball, you got to get two hits or a double. It's more difficult. But my point is, create more space and more angle. Utilize the strike zone and be able to make contact on ball against better pitchers. This is why anytime I don't know 4 minutes on the ball, if they're facing better pitchers, the better hitters in the playoffs, they can hit the sliders and outside. Look at the right foot with it. Don't use it. Even the power guy, they can drive the ball in the ballpark in right field. But now it's being misinterpreted with high school and college players, in which they think that the long angle, okay? There is a little bit of an upward quickness to our home run hitter. But what's happening is a lot of these guys are misinterpreting and pointing properly. They're dropping their back shoulders and will create a loopy swing. And you'll notice there's a lot of strikeouts going on now. The guys up in the strike zone. Because the back looks, they don't go directly to the ball. So there's a lot of misconstruing of what the principles are. We're always talking about we're upward swing. So the ball comes down on an inch of diameter. And you have a little bit of around. I can look at the ball to that other bar. But if you're keeping guys like that, you play the learn to one and with Scott as a director. And it ended up that he's gone on the red side and he moved on. And he's getting MVP of the World Series in Florida. Now, this is a guy he didn't have power to the ball at all times. So he used to make contact, use all the ball. Very valuable players.
So, Mr. Goles, what I'm going to do, we're going to take a quick break, and if you don't mind holding on, I'd like to continue this on the other side. Okay, fantastic. This is so much fun and so much information. Like I said, this is beautiful. What we're going to do, we'll take this break, we're going to come back, and we're going to continue our conversation. But and one of the things, before we take a break, Mr. Goles, you hit on so many things that I kind of preached to Jay. I talked to him about, like with, the and opposite using the field and different things, and now you're just stamping it. You actually make me look smart today by you being as smart as you are. So we're gonna take this break. Got the great Al Goldis on the line. He's gonna continue on. I got another couple great questions for you, Mr. Goldis. Appreciate your time. Thanks everybody for hanging out with Easy today on the Easy Sports Talk Show. KDUS 1060 AM, KSLX, HD Channel 227, Facebook Restream. You name it, we're out there. We're gonna take this break. When we come back, continue on Mr. Goldis. Appreciate you hanging out with us so far. We'll be back in just a moment here.
Miguel Cabrera, seventh player to get 3,000 hits and 500 home runs today. You can.
Clear.
Thanks, Aaron.
Hey, Phoenix, I've got it here. I'm bringing the best sports talk we've picked you
Professional Baseball Scouts Hall of Fame and one of my most special people in my life. And Mr. Gold, there's a couple things. Wanted to get your thoughts on something that you and I talked about the other day as well. And I'll just toss both these questions at him and you run with them. First off, well, this one's not even so much a question, but way back in 1987 through the early parts of the 90s, I was with the White Sox, obviously. And I talked to you yesterday. We had a conversation. You were so far ahead. You and your organization were so far ahead of the game. You introduced something called plyometrics to all of us young ball players with the help of Vern Gambetta. Like I said, we at first, I'm not going to say we rebelled against it, but we did not know what you guys were doing, what your plan was. We were out there doing different types of exercises, skipping, doing some lateral movements, things like that, just to get prepared for a day on the field when other teams would just come out, line up, do a couple striders, stretch, and go. So that's one of the things that you were so far ahead, and that even later in my career when I started playing football, I actually went back to the days when you guys were teaching us some of those things. It was so ingenious and it was so helpful for me in my development as an athlete. That's one thing I want you to talk on, how you came to that realization and putting that in play. And then the other thing, you and I talked as well. I was talking to Jay between the break, and we were talking about how music is kind of tied to hitting. And Jay being a music man, told him about our conversation. I wanted to speak on those two things, if you can. First, the plyometrics, then the art of music and hitting, if you will.
Oh, yeah, great. As I did.
What was that, Mr.? Are you still there? Did we lose him there? Are you there, Aaron?
Did we drop?
We would evaluate the makeup. If you get to about 10, we said you keep a tough kid out. And you know what? Everything that he ever said to me when I came to Golden Florida, it was right on target. Even though maybe his written report wasn't as detailed as his verbal report. So a scouting director also, by the way, has to know his scout. You have to know who they are, how they use it. So I went to Mexico thing. If we just go there and dance, and then we would go to my favorite restaurant. One of the favorite is the Salt Cellar, owned by Richter and Cindy Pkwy. We used to sit there and go over things, and it was great. We loved it. So anyway, I'm going to get back. We really brought it to baseball. I guess at the time, I don't know what other people were doing. That was, I'm athletically. I think nutrition, we were very cognizant. We had a fellow who dealt with nutrition of the players.
Mm-hmm.
It's like college. It's not like college. Psychology. Now he's supposed to relate to the players better. Every player is different. Every human being is different. So therefore, to be a good coach, you have to be. If you're not a teacher, you're not a teacher. So you have to know the aptitude, you have to know and take a very astute coach to learn the idiosyncrasies and variances of the players. In order to take those coaches and to adapt to the players. It doesn't matter what the coach does. It doesn't matter what our coach as a scouting director. It all depends on what's happening on the field with the players. That makes sense. So we instituted that element. It was based on people. Are they psychological? Are they being approached? What was their background? Did they come from a broken home? Did they come from the Dominican Republic, from New York, or California? Everyone has different cultures. It's important, and it's not quite the right or wrong. They're different. That's what makes this country great. And that's what makes it great teams. We have guys that are not leadership, guys that are on guys that are guys that are it's all supposed to make a better team. So we had the vision. Besides that, we felt if we could get our guys to be athletically better, not being quicker, better flexibility, more range of motion, explosiveness with plyometrics, a better strength, more speed. If we had all these various elements to ability of the player, and we start to instill them necessary to play third base or shortstop or that. We didn't do on that. Well, first we have to make the player a better athlete. It's making him so we do the ball on it, so he can attack better. So that's what majority of that is. He was, and now he's doing stuff all over the world. He's training to make it track. He's walking with Colombia and he lives in Ireland. And then if you have that physical part, copy it.
Mhm.
One day, I think you were always saying that you weren't aware of it. Steve over me, I also said, there's some guy underneath the stand of what we're doing. You know, it's true.
Yeah, no, I believe you.
I see the guy under the stand, he's playing part. And he said, I said, what are you doing? He said, well, I was sent over here by the Yankees to see what you guys can do. You can things to work out, other things haven't done. I said, you know, I think your director is a good friend of mine. Someone told me, I'll tell them what we're doing. So, because I know you can tell people what to do, because they cannot do it. They're going to have to
Yeah.
people on that. But they buy into it. That was one thing. We felt, let's attack and make, what does it mean to be a better baseball player, to be a better hitter? What's that the game? Man, if you not lose what you do, put a precedent in. Or let's maybe not see the ball properly. So let's just element, we try to improve, especially at the lower level, evaluated it, on his hitting skills. If he had good skills, he would talk faster.
Mhm.
So that's why a lot of college guys have these abilities, so they would start maybe in New York City or start in Asia. But that would help with the value. So, music is one of the only means that uses both sides of the brain at the same time. So, but if you, I have never seen a great musician, and Jay goes out and says, you're pretty good with it. I've never seen a great musician or person in music that doesn't have rhythm.
True.
And I've never seen a good hitter that has rhythm.
Mhm.
The rhythm is a very important part of being great athletes. You have rhythm. Some guys have no rhythm, and you know what? They're probably not as good as athletes. Doesn't mean they can't be passed up to them. But rhythm is a very important part, and we try to improve that. So that's why we used to have our objectives sometimes when they would see any guys about a little bit of an object circle, but they were simulating what they were in the game. And what we would do was that as the pitcher would release the ball, we had the guy pump, like, and as he released it and he got to the plate, he would stop. So it's not that internal rhythm going, that and stop. And all of a sudden, you got to feel the ball and you got your body moving. And I found that the guys that have good rhythm have a chance to be better infielders. You look at obviously, you can say the guy has rhythm.
Sir?
Small guys, beating those guys. The great players they have, you can start getting strong, you can still have good rhythm. So, I hope I'm answering your question there.
Absolutely, Mr. Cole.
That's awesome. I didn't even think about that. That makes sense.
I could do this all day with you, sir. I'm gonna have you back on again soon. But before I let you go, can you tell everybody about the Gulf Coast Summer Collegiate League?
Yeah, we started a league 3 years ago, and it's been very successful. We play in Sarasota, we play in St. Pete, and we play down in the Atlanta Braves complex, the Peoria complex, and it's for college players, junior college, later college, Division 1, 2, and 3, that really have a desire that would be better. Maybe in the junior college kid, you want to go to Division 1 or whatever it is, but they have to have a good attitude. We have a great facility, and it's developed and league. And we've had 4 people on our team last year that are serious college recruits. At school, South and down in Texas, they come from all over. So it's really mainly composed of coaches are former major league coordinators, coaches, assistant managers, of Garcia from our assistant coach, get back to sports and AAA matches, which is made money for us. All these have different years. One of my major managers, the main purpose is how do we make the player better. We always have had things for the people say, and you know what? They're not here to track anybody else other than
2 minutes.
and we get in a lot of places, and our marketing called Fast Five, they touch base with the players, coaches. What do you do to be better? What do you want to see done? We work together with college, but it's a total developmental league. We have very mentality for the kids, but you can take a look up. You go those numbers politically. If they're interested in Fast Five, you can go and
We're going to tweet it.
yeah, and very good, by the way, very good, you know, the kids that, not that they have all the kids are, you know.
Yeah.
At the end of the morning, was it about hot weather?
Yep.
And you have to start with them, so maybe they can make like that. I don't know. It's better than we were successful.
And Mr. Golden, before I let you go, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything you've done me and my life, not on the baseball field, but just as helped me grow as a man all those years ago. I want to send a special shout out to the father who was my scout, worked under you. Lost him a few years ago, but the type of man he was is a reflection of the type of person that you had out there for all of us. I want to definitely let you go. Michael Carter, one of my best friends, someone you had a hand in dealing with. He just said he wanted me to make sure I told you hello. And I promise you, so I want to have you on the show again soon.
Yes.
And I'm coming out there to see you soon, okay?
I'd love to have you, and I'm looking to come out there to see you guys. And again, it is my pleasure to be here, and all I enjoy your listeners out there. And again, just, you know, I'm just, yeah.
Tim, I'm not gonna cut him off.
And just, you know, make yourself better each day.
Give me a second to reset this going break music.
On the field, off the field, how we feel better people, and that's our whole goal. Make yourself better.
Thank you so much,
That
Mr.
was
Golden.
amazing.
I love you, sir. And tell Miss Golden I said hello. And I look forward to being in touch with you soon, okay?
Thank you so much, and have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy, and thank you. Thank you for your day.
Pleasure. It was my pleasure.
Mr. Al Gold is one of the best men
That was
in
awesome,
the world.
man.
All right, so yeah, hey, that was well worth all the,
Hey.
you know, that's cool right there. So you know, it's funny. I learned all these years later. I still learn things that I had no idea, you know, behind the scenes and stuff like that. So we're gonna take this last break here.
That was
Short
dope,
segment
man.
coming up.
I swear that was awesome.
Hey, guys, like I said, he's saying a whole bunch of things. Okay, Easy Day, Easy Sports Talk Show, KUS 1060 AM, KSLX, AC Channel 21.7. We'll take this last break. Be back after this. And thank you so much, Aaron, for how you ran that, man. You were just on the fly. That was the bomb. All right, we'll be back after this.
Are you get?
Thank you so much, Aaron.
Sure.
That was cool, man. He dropped the mother load on us.
You're like,
And welcome back. I'm doing a quick segment of the Easy Sports Talk Show. I'm looking at my partner. He was a little confused because he did not put that song together.
Right.
But that was for you, brother. You got a birthday coming up on Tuesday,
Right
the
on.
26th, right?
Yes, 26. Yeah.
My boy's got a birthday coming up, and my mom's birthday was on the 21st.
Right on.
So just a couple days ago, so I wanted to make sure. Thank you for doing that too, Aaron. Make sure we celebrate two of the most special people in my life.
Well, thank you,
My
man.
mother, my partner, my brother.
Appreciate that.
How old you gonna be?
Yeah. 47, man. 47. I ain't tripping.
I wouldn't tell mine either. Everybody already knows it.
47.
But yeah, but happy birthday, bro.
Still mock y'all on.
Hey, you have to go out and grab some cold frosty beverage or
I'm
something
with
to
it.
celebrate.
I'm with it.
And then, like I said, to the queen, my mother, she turned 30 again for the whatever number of years. But yeah, God bless my mom. We're going to spoil her this weekend, me and my brother.
Yeah.
Treats and some food and stuff.
The place that you've taken her, where you mentioned,
Yeah.
that place menu is extensive.
Oh, my
for no
goodness.
reason at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we want to give another special shout out to Mr. Aleworks for joining us on
That
the
was
show.
awesome, man.
That, I mean,
really was.
There, you know what's funny? That wasn't even enough time.
Yeah.
We could have done a whole 2-hour show because there was so much more that I even wanted to get to him on. You know,
And it wasn't dry
no,
because he's a good storyteller, and then being able to just and not be using so much jargon, so the lexicon of the industry in which he was in.
what's amazing for me is I've known him for 35 years, right? Even I learned some things that I never knew, and some things, you know, just even in our conversation I had with him yesterday off here.
Yeah.
But then he mentioned a couple things even today. The dude underneath the stands taking pictures. And I told you doing great. This is in 1987, 88, we're out there doing plyometric, where we're doing, all kinds of different exercises just to get warmed up for the day.
Yeah.
You know, burpees and high knee raise,
I
high
still
knee karaoke and stuff like that. Other teams used to laugh at us, Jay.
Yeah.
They would come and we'd be on the field, warm ups and doing our high knee karaoke, karaoke. Yeah, karaoke. Yeah,
I don't know.
karaoke. Yeah. We'd be doing our warm ups and the other teams would be laughing at us. Oh, what are you guys doing? Because all they would do is come out, run a couple jogs, real quick, come and they'd be on around with the shed. Just get up and start throwing. So we were doing so much stuff that was so far ahead of the game. And that was all Mr. Goldis and his crew and bringing that all in. And I'll shout out to Bernie Gambetta, who was the orchestrator of it all. And when I see those gentlemen now, I saw Al and Vern when I went back for a B Foundation dinner about 6, 7 years or so ago. I saw both of them in that weekend. And man, I just got to hug them each time I see them. Not for what they taught us athletically, but that Al and all the people that hear each other, they cared so much about us, even though we would fight them sometimes tooth and nail on, attention to detail and this and these things they were trying to instill in us. Those things came into play for me later in my career when I was with other organizations and once I started playing football as well. Those are the things that you learn.
Some people suck. just to put it shortly. I mean, I was talking to my oldest son about an interaction that he had with somebody. Sometimes we are the sum total of what we've experienced up to this point, right?
Yeah.
So his interaction with somebody that is in higher education was very unfortunate, but based on some of the language that was used, it was because of some things that previous students had done or not done. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and that is the coolest thing. People will often forget what you did. And I'm not saying what you have, but they'll always remember how you made them feel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the way in which they really did for you by the little things, but the maybe it's tough love that they showed you, or just the staying the course with you, the continued belief, or continuing to encourage that. Those things mean a lot. Those things mean a lot.
Those are the people that you remember your entire life too. Yeah, those are the type, Real quick, just before we get out of here. Interesting fact, I did this looking up because I was curious. Went back to my draft in 1987, 35 years ago. People do that. First pick of the draft for the 1987 draft, pick number 1 in the first round, Ken Griffey Jr. Pick number 3 in the first round, Willie Banks, a good friend of mine. Number 5 to the White Sox in the first round, Jack McDowell. Number 22 in that draft, Craig Biggio. Then pick number 131 in the 5th round won Tori Lavallo.
Yeah.
Then pick number 167 in the 7th round won Ed Smith for the Chicago White Sox. So,
Yeah.
that's some ties there.
How many rounds in that draft?
74 rounds, 1,262 players.
74.
So being pick number 167, I was kind of toward the front of that one,
Yeah.
even though it was as a 7th rounder. But
74.
that's 74
Did
rounds.
they do like
No, they do
mock
not.
drafts of the first 34 rounds? So then I have.
I didn't know there were that many people playing baseball, let alone the draft that many of them.
That's cool.
So,
And seriously, somebody might say, well, you was pick number 1,262. Nah, man. But I was picked, what pick were you?
yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Nah, man. You can't.
So Tori and I in the same draft. I knew we didn't play together in '95, my last draft. I did not realize we were in the same draft as well. So, man, we're going to wrap this one up. Once again, thank you to everybody who helps this show do what it does. Can't name anybody individually this time around because we're running short here. I want to definitely give Aaron a shout out. Thank you so much, Aaron. That was outstanding as always. Thank you to Mr. Goldlist for jumping on with us. Thank you, brother.
Yeah,
and happy birthday to you on
man.
Tuesday.
Appreciate you.
I'll talk to you that day as well.
Yeah.
And happy birthday to my beautiful mother. Thank you, everybody. Easy Sports Talk will be out here in a couple seconds here, but we wish you a great weekend. Appreciate you hanging out. Easy today, Easy Sports Talk Show, KDUS 1060 AM, KSLX, HD channel 200.7. We'll be back after these we'll be back next week. Hey, have a good weekend. You can hit them. There you go.
Are you okay?
Good job, guys. You are clear. Good show. Have a great birthday, Jay, and I will talk to you all in 2 weeks.
Oh, you all next week?
Have a great one, man.